Hi, my name is Madison. Welcome to Blasted. My family is from Northern California. My mom moved all over the place. My dad's always been in California, at least to my knowledge. But I believe that they met up in Sacramento at a bar that my dad was playing at one night, and then the rest was history. So I was born in West Hills, and then I moved out to Thousand Oaks when I was 12. So I went to Westlake High School, and then I graduated from continuation in Newbury Park. When I was in high school, I just felt like what classes I was taking weren't really going to benefit me for what I wanted to do. I've known since I was 14 that this is the job that I've wanted. So I did pay attention to the classes that I really enjoyed, but as a whole, I didn't really care about being the best student because it didn't benefit me in where I am right now. I mean, I still have ADD pretty bad, but I definitely was one of those kids that was a little all over the place. I was a lot more outgoing as a child than I am now, but I've always been artistic. I've always been drawing since I could have. And then, I guess as I got older, I got a little bit more in my shell, kind of like learned about the world a little bit, and now I'm at a point where I'm just trying to become a little more confident like I was when I was a kid. So when I was in high school, that's kind of when I first realized I wanted to be a tattoo artist. But after I graduated, the whole being not confident kind of held me back from figuring out how to approach tattooing. So when I graduated, my mom was like, you're either going to go to college or you're going to work with me. So I ended up working with her at a marketing firm for about 5 years. I started working there, and it was cool at first. I was like, cool, big girl job, I guess. And then I got to take on content and blog writing for companies' websites, and that was really cool, And then I kind of started doing social media. We bought a tattoo company, so I started doing social media for that, and then I just was sharing tattoos all day, every day for a year and a half, 2 years, and it kind of drove me crazy because I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to be doing the tattoos. I don't want to be just reposting them from behind a screen. You know what I mean? I want to post my own. It was cool. It was an experience for sure, but I would never go back to an office job again. It's just, my brain's just not built for it. So my fiance, when I first met him, I only had one tattoo at the time, and it was a Friday the 13th tattoo, so it was nothing crazy. But he had more tattoos than me, and he had friends that tattooed, and that's kind of how we got into it, and I got more involved in the industry that way. Even though I did work for a tattoo company, it was still at a marketing office, so we weren't really, and it was so new that we weren't really reaching out and branching with a bunch of other companies yet. So if it wasn't for my fiance and I kind of pushing each other into doing it, I don't think I would have gotten as far as I have on my own, at least. Maybe I would have, but that would be a different story. So when I was working at that company, I was resharing tattoos, one of my friends on Facebook posted a sleeve that he had gotten done by this artist, Topher. And I was like, can I share this to my work page? And he was like, absolutely, here's my artist, you can ask him yourself. And I was like, okay. Hit him up, and I was like, I kind of gave him the rundown, and he's like, I'd love for you to share my work, sent me a friend request. It goes on from there. But basically I had been dabbling in the artwork of it and tattooing a little bit, and he reached out to me and he was like, do you want an apprenticeship? And I was like, fucking yes. I was like, absolutely, please. And then the rest is kind of history from there. I think I was just too nervous. I definitely had reached out to some spots and asked, but I just am not the most confident person, so I just always kind of tell myself if I don't do, then I can't fail, but in itself, I'm failing. So when I got the opportunity, I was like, I can't let that go. It was not the most traditional apprenticeship. My mentor did not believe in the whole hazing, treating apprentices like shit kind of thing. He was very open with me about everything that he did. He was very well educated, so I'm very thankful for that. And he has a wonderful style that I take a lot of inspiration from still to this day. And then at one point he developed an essential tremor, so he quit tattooing for a little bit. And then I kind of had to refigure out my apprenticeship. And then I eventually ended up going to the shop that my fiance was apprenticing at, Clear Vision in Moore Park. And then we both graduated the same day from there. Well, I had been tattooing like throughout my apprenticeship, obviously, but when I had started tattooing outside of my apprenticeship, it probably took about, and there were like some bumps in the road, so it wasn't like a consistent 2 years, but I would say over the course of like 2.5 years until I had graduated my apprenticeship. I don't know how, I think my fiance was like about 1.5 years, but his was like a lot more condensed into what he was doing. So we graduated in, I believe, July 1st, 2019. My fiance's name's Corey. He goes by Uncle Cooley. It's the nickname that our nephew gave him because he can't say Corey. He goes Uncle Cooley. So that's kind of where he got his Instagram handle from. He works at Gusto Tattoo Co., which is our brother's shop off of Roscoe. Yeah, it's honestly been a really cool experience. I feel like we both really pushed each other to get to where we are now. I think that we both have been able to learn from each other because we had 2 different mentors and experiences until we both worked in the same shop. And we worked in the same shop until I worked here at Queens and he worked over at Gusto's. So I think it was like about a year that we worked at Clear Vision together and then eventually went into 2 separate shops. But also, obviously, like not long after we graduated our apprenticeships, the pandemic happened. So we spent like almost a whole year at home. So we only got so much time in as graduated artists before we had to sit at home for 9 months. Most of my tattoos are from my fiance, and not most of his because he already had a good handful when we first started dating, but I've definitely done a lot on him as well, and I still have plenty more to do and vice versa. You know what? I think we definitely both have our strong suits in different places, but seeing his progress just in the last year has been really infuriating for me because I think he is a better artist than I am. He's very educated and he does so much research on every aspect of tattooing, and I feel like I get a lot of my knowledge from him because of that. And then I feel like he gets a lot of knowledge from me because he does say he loves my line work, he loves my shading, my composition, and I love his. So we kind of just bounce back and forth all the time. I can't say who's the better artist, but it's me. Yeah. Yeah, I think that I was just doing kind of like whatever I could at the time, but like mostly just like black line work kind of stuff. And then I worked my way into doing some like kind of geometric stuff. Did a lot of walk-ins, you know. It definitely went more into me doing more traditional, and I think that helped me evolve into doing the more like black work illustrative that I do now. I don't know what I would say my style is now, but because I'm still trying to figure out what it is I like and don't like to tattoo, but my end goal is eventually to do black and gray realism because it's what I do on paper. But as of right now, I enjoy doing more illustrative black work, and I'm trying to do more illustrative color work too. Building the confidence to tattoo, it's very scary. Building up the muscles, like muscle memory and strength to be able to like stretch skin, hold people down, pull a line. There's so many variables that go into tattooing that it does get confusing, and sometimes something doesn't go right and you're not sure why, and you have to kind of take like 3 steps back to figure out why something's not working. Every time I do a tattoo, I'm still nervous to do it because I still have a lot to learn, only having been 3 years into my career, but definitely learning how to balance life and work, communicating with clients, creating designs that are going to last a lifetime has been quite challenging in the beginning especially, but I feel like now I'm kind of getting a little bit more of a grasp on it. Yeah, just being confident in every aspect that you can for tattooing. It takes a while. Well, in the first shop that I was at, everyone was really nice, you know. The first shop that my mentor was at was out in Hollywood, and I liked everyone that was there, so it didn't really feel like hard or difficult to kind of like be in it. But when I was at my last shop, I definitely felt a little more frustrated with the treatment that I was getting, and I feel like it's because I was a girl in the shop. Just insecurities of other artists for sure kind of made the environment unsuitable for me to work in or feel comfortable working in, or bringing even my female clients into. It was very frustrating and hard, and I'm just very glad to be in an environment now where I don't have to feel that way, where I can bring in my female clients and I'm not worried that some dude's gonna stand over because I'm tattooing a butt cheek and finally be interested in what I'm tattooing. You know what I mean? So it's a lot more comforting for me and my clients. I don't have to worry about being shit on all the time or made to be felt like inferior to my coworkers, because it shouldn't be that way no matter who you are. That's not the type of environment that anyone should have to work in. So being here and at the other shop, it never made me feel that way. I'm at Queens of Needles in West Hills. We are the second branch of 2. That's a really dumb way to phrase that. We are the second shop, the second Queens of Needles that opened this year, and the first Queens opened in December 2020. Yes, this is a sister shop. It's just we were doing so well, and we were getting more artists coming in and more foot traffic, and that we were able to open up another shop in about a year of us opening. So kind of like how I said before, I like the comfortability of it. I feel a lot more appreciated and cared for. I feel a lot more respected and safe working in this type of environment. And it's not like I didn't feel safe or whatever in the last shop. It's just that it was very toxic. And here I don't really feel that. I mean, we're all girls, so like shit's bound to happen. But like at the end of the day, the if there's any drama, it's very small and it's always resolved easily through communication. So I don't ever have to worry about that. Absolutely no guys allowed. I don't even know why you're here right now, honestly. No, we do. We do get some clients, like I've had this asked a couple of times where they're like, can my boyfriend come? I know it's an all-female shop, but like men are allowed. It's just all women that tattoo here. So, but we have 2 brother shops, and this is the 4th of 4 shops. The first one's House of Needles, and then Gusto Tattoo Co. opened after that, and they're both co-ed shops. And then Queens of Needles and then Queens West Hills are the 2 all-female shops. So it's definitely not like we aren't associated with male tattooers in the industry at all. It's just that we have 2 locations that are specifically women that work in them. Definitely just black and gray illustrative. I'm trying to get into do more color, but I kind of just strayed away from it for a little while, just because I just like darker looking artwork. But like I mentioned earlier, I'm still, like, I take a lot of inspiration from what I see online. There's a lot of really amazing artists out there, so I'm just working my way up to hopefully be as good as, what I see online someday. Who do I want to get tattooed by? There's this artist, her name's Hannah. She goes by Elemental Tattoos, and I believe she's in Venice, and she does beautiful, like, ornamental, like, full back pieces, and she'll do, like, your whole arm in a day. It's, like, very nice, thick black work. It's very beautiful. Ryan and Matthew Murray, they're both artists that I believe are in Salem, Massachusetts, and they have this really cool, like creepy dark art style. They do a lot of portraits, kind of like Henri Strom, but a little more like, it reminds me more like witch-centric type of stuff. It doesn't have all like the gothic lettering in it, but I love their artwork too. So when I first started my apprenticeship, my mentor was using a magnetic rotary. So I started learning on those from Century. And after I had switched over to the shop that I was at with my fiance, I was gifted a coil, like an FK Irons coil. I don't even know which one it was. It was just kind of like handed to me, and they're like, here you go. And I was like, okay. And it was kind of like broken a little bit. But that's what I learned how to tattoo off of, and it kind of made me start going more towards coils. And then I bought a Dan Cuban V6, and I was using that for a little while. Love that machine. And then the pandemic hit, and then didn't tattoo for a while. And then I started working at the other Queens when they opened. And then like a week after we opened, they shut us down. And I was like running my machine, and it's super loud. And I was really scared that I was gonna like get us caught or something. So I gave it to my fiance, and I have not gotten it back since. So That's cool. But right now I'm using a Bishop wand packer. I just like how easy it is to wrap and clean. I like that. I mean, I just like that it is clean when I do my setup. I like that it does everything that I need it to do, so I'm not setting up 2-3 different machines. I'm all about convenience, and that machine definitely gives me that. I love how well it packs color. I love the whip shades that I get off of it. The line work that I get off of it's really nice too, but I'm always kind of looking to see what I could go for next. But as of right now, I'm really enjoying that machine just because it's very versatile. So I use the solid ink. I just find that it heals darker than some other brands, which is what I'm looking for in my work. I want something that heals a little bit more black. But I have tried Allegory. I know that Alyssa's using Panthera, and I know that like one of the other girls from Queens used that, and that healed super dark. So I'm kind of leaning towards trying that too, maybe. But I like using solid ink, just because their standards in the EU are higher than they are in the US as far as the quality goes for pigments in our pigments and ink that we use. So I just feel a little bit safer using them. They're also vegan and cruelty free, so I don't have to worry about my clients worrying, can I get tattooed by this artist because I am vegan, So I'm not vegan. I'm just saying that as in like my clients, because I do get asked that, like, do you have vegan ink? And I can guarantee them that everything that I use is all natural pigment based. So yeah, right now I'm using Quadrin, but for my packer, I have found that the Da Vinci's obviously work the best, being that they are Bishop brand. So I do like using those every now and then, but as of right now, I mostly use Quadrin. Save as much money as you can. Yeah, save as much money as you can because there's no guaranteed paycheck at the end of every 2 weeks or twice a month, depending on like how people get paid. If work doesn't come in, you don't get money. So you need to think 3 steps ahead. For anything, this job does not provide health insurance at all in any form, so you need to keep that in mind. I've seen people say that they pay for health, and other artists say that they pay for health insurance, and then I've seen some say that they just put money that they would have paid insurance aside and save that instead in case of an emergency. But like every time I get sick, especially since the pandemic, like I like to be safe and try and take off at least like 10 days off of work, especially just waiting until I test negative to come. And in that entire time, if I'm not booking appointments, I'm not making money at all. It's very expensive. I did not think about that when I first started tattooing, even though I knew that it was not going to be cheap to tattoo. Starting off can be really hard if you don't have a lot of money or make a lot of money. So it does take a little while to kind of build up to good quality products, depending on the situation that you're in at least. I think it depends on the supplier that you're buying from, because some places are a little bit cheaper than others. Some places kind of up their prices a little bit. I'd probably say $500-$600 a month, and I know that every artist spends a different amount based off of the brands that they buy and like what products they do and don't like to use. But I like to try and stay as stocked up as I can, so I'm not like buying in mass amounts every time that I have to. But like a case of gloves for me costs about $200, so if I'm buying that like every month, that alone is $200. If I'm buying like a couple boxes of cartridges, that could be like $200 too, and that's just that. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of variables that go into it. And it's not just needles and ink and pigment, it's also sanitation supplies, like not every shop provides everything that you need, so you are buying a lot of it on your own. Depending on like the split that you get, or if you're paying rent, you could be paying for all of your supplies, or you could be paying for most of your supplies, or you can be paying for like some supplies and then have your shop be providing a good amount too. I believe that there's some shops that are like sponsored by certain companies, so it's provided by like the shop owners, but I don't know how often that's a thing. I just think that I've heard that from someone I used to work with, because the products aren't cheap. My back hurts, my bones hurt from tattooing. So, obviously like the physical labor that goes into it, it's physical labor, it's mental labor, it's quality products, and you're paying for a clean environment. You know what I mean? And you're also paying for something that will last you a lifetime. So like you're paying a one-time price for something that you get to keep on your body forever. It hurts physically to be a tattoo artist. Like I feel like I sit like a freaking shrimp all the time, like there's a lot more physical labor that goes into it than I really thought, and it really is a job that kind of does not stop. You bring it home because you draw at work or you draw at home, and then you come and tattoo, and then you go home and you're responding to people and you're keeping up with clients, and then they're hitting you up all hours of the night, and you want to try and make sure that you're keeping up on everything and anything, as well as like keeping up on your education and research on products in the industry. It's a never-ending job. I personally try and keep like the days that I respond to clients down to like 1 or 2 days a week, just so that way I'm not overstressing myself. I try and keep all my work here at work. I guess that's the one thing that I kind of took with me from an office job, is that when I'm at work, and then when I go home, I go home. But I'm still doing work at home. It's just I'm up until like 2 a.m. doing it. Yeah, I mean, I guess I just assume that like this job is just super easy, and it's very laid back, and that we can just pull drawings, like a whole entire sleeve out for them in like a day, because they'll like hit us up and be like, okay, I want to see the drawing now. And it's like, that's not how that works. Like drawing takes time. It's emotionally and mentally draining. It gets frustrating because you'll end up redrawing something over and over and over again. And then looking at it so long, you're like, disgusting. And then you don't want to look at it ever again. And then you look at it and you're like, okay, I actually like this. And then you just kind of keep going from there. So it is very frustrating and hard to do all the time. It's hard to be creative all the time. And if you're not in a good headspace, you can't be creative in a very healthy way, at least. Especially for like what your clients are expecting, because you're not just putting out your own artwork. Like you are. There are some artists that are very privileged to just put out their own flash and only book their flash. But like I'm doing a lot of what other people want drawn. And if I'm not in a good headspace, I'm worried that it's just not going to come out the way that they're expecting. And sometimes you do draw things that clients, they're not happy with, and then you have to kind of deal with that. And then you feel like, I'll always be like, of course I'm going to redraw it for you. I'm never going to make you get something just because I drew it. You know what I mean? So you always want your clients to be happy. But for me, I just get anxious really bad. So like, I feel like it kind of shows in my artwork sometimes. So like taking a few steps back is really important. Taking a few moments to like not have to sit and draw constantly, and then coming back to it gets a lot better of results. Pricing is also one of the hardest parts about tattooing. I like constantly struggle with trying to stick to saying $150 an hour, and then I feel like I do a tattoo and I'm like, well, like that went by a lot faster, so like I could charge less for it, you know what I mean? Or like this wasn't as complex of a design as I thought it was going to be, so like I say I charge $150 an hour, which I feel like is a pretty average price that a lot of that a lot of artists charge for. But it realistically is going to just depend on size, detail, and placement. If it's color, it's going to take longer, so I'm going to charge more for it. Black and gray probably going to cost less, but again, that depends on the complexity of the design. Don't expect a design like to just happen overnight. Especially if you want something that's large scale. That's just not how every artist operates. I personally am not going to show you your design until you come in, because I'm not going to do all this work for you. Even if you pay me a deposit, I'm not going to do all that work for you to go and take my shit somewhere else, or to have you ask me to constantly change it over and over again. I'd rather just have you come in, and I'm going to have something started for you, and then if we need to make any adjustments, then we can go from there, and then that way there's no miscommunication, and maybe like what you're trying to articulate through messages. Because I feel like sometimes clients, and even myself, don't know the best way to describe something through text. So being able to communicate with my clients in person helps a lot. Don't come in without eating food first. Even if you've been tattooed all over your whole body, anyone can pass out. Anyone can have anything happen during a tattoo, and they're all very normal things. Like it can happen to anyone. Please be clean when you come in. Yeah, definitely be clean when you come in. Yeah, definitely do not come under the influence of anything. If I can tell that you're not getting tattooed. I hold my professionalism up to a very high standard as best as I can, and that's not something that I tolerate in my shop, especially because it could affect your health. If you're intoxicated and you're moving a lot, if you move just hard enough and I can't catch myself in time, I could like stab you with my needle, and I don't want to do that. I don't want to fuck up your tattoo. So being clear-headed and coherent is very important to me. Even coming in hungover, like people do it, but it's better to just try and be as prepared as you can for your appointment, just because I am putting trauma and stress on your body, and we want to make sure that you're going to be in the safest environment possible, and you coming in well rested, hydrated, and fed is going to give you the best results. Not every tattoo that you want is going to work in every place on the body. Every place on the body has kind of the skin all over your body is different. So like some spots are going to take longer to heal. Some spots are more sensitive to tattoo. Some places just really hurt worse, and some places are not going to heal well at all. Like the palms of your hands, that's going to fall out. Finger tattoos have a high tendency to fade out, and some people want really, really like intricate, dainty, shit on their fingers, and it's like, it's just going to blow out over time. Ink disperses under our skin over time, so you want to make sure you're giving people tattoos that are going to last them a lifetime, and people have unrealistic expectations of what that is because they're just seeing a photo of a fresh tattoo on Pinterest and they're going, that looks really cool, I want that. Can you do this mandala on the tip of my fingernail? And you're like, no, absolutely not. No, I mean, like, I'm sure that there's an artist that'll do it for you, and that's great, but I'm just not that type of person. I want to make sure that I can give you a tattoo that you are going to love for a lifetime. And I've only been doing this for a few years, so I'm still trying to figure out what's going to be the best end result for all of my clients. I won't do your partner's name, especially if you've been dating for 2 days and are 18 years old. I will not do, obviously, like I said, just nothing offensive. Anything racist or sexist or homophobic, obviously. Those are some of the top ones. I won't do tattoos in white ink, just because I know they're not going to age well. Like, I'll do silly tattoos, but like I said, they just can't be offensive, or like, I wouldn't want to put something inappropriate in a very visible area, just because I feel like that just isn't always thought through the most. People are just like, haha, this is funny. And I'm like, that's awesome, but I'm not going to be the artist to do that for you. But going back to tattooing partners' names on each other, when I was working out in Moore Park, I had this couple come in, and they were like, oh, I want to get, the wife wanted to get their wedding date in Roman numerals on the inside of her wedding finger, or her ring finger, and he wanted to get her initial on his ring finger. And like, that is a lot better than getting a whole name, in my opinion. But I was still just like, are you sure? Like, I was kind of hesitant. And then they were like, oh no, it's fine. We've been married for 15 years and we only have each other's names tattooed on each other all over our bodies. And then they proceed to show me like the rack of tattoos that they have. I don't remember the names, but like pretty decently covered in each other's names. So I was like, fuck it. I was like, okay, I'll do this for you guys. No problem. But, yeah, off the top of my head. Oh yeah, I also won't tattoo kids' faces if they have no other tattoos. I try and tell people not to get their hands tattooed if they don't have other tattoos, just because I find that some people regret them, or they wish that they had planned things out a little bit better. I know I wish that I had planned out a good handful of my tattoos a little bit better. So I'm just trying to look out for other people, you know what I mean? But I think that's about it. That would make me not want to do a tattoo for someone. I don't want to go near that area. Yeah, so we had this gentleman come in to the other queens one time, and I was with a client when he first came in, and my coworker, Pat, she was the one that was helping him, and they were all in the front of the shop. I couldn't hear what they were talking about. But then they came back to her station, and she starts showing him these beautiful portraits that she did on synthetic skin, and I took it that he was asking for like a portrait, you know, so she's like, here's what I can do. And then I just hear him, I think she said, what do you want? And he said something, and she was just like, she was like this far away from me. So I saw that and I was like, hey, how can I help? And she was like, and she didn't really know how to respond. And so he tells me he wants to get a portrait like on his stomach. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, and at the time, like not everyone just like really did like hyperrealism at the shop. So I was like, what do you want to get a portrait of? Because if we can't do it, we always recommend it to like friends or, you know, our brother shops or whatever. And he's like, I want to get it here. And I was like, okay, but like, what is it? And he's like, I want to get this. And he shows me, and it's this girl, like from like a movie. Not something I would want to tattoo. And he actually wanted it like down like here. And I was like, yeah, we're actually not going to do that for you here today. So, and then I just recommended another shop, but it was like a very inappropriate photo in a very inappropriate area. And I was like, well, none of us really do black and gray realism like that. And I'm trying to like backtrack out of telling him why we can't do it. And he's like, well, it doesn't have to be realism. I just want that portrait on my stomach, like here. And I was like, it's not happening. It's just, I was like, I don't think there's anyone here that's going to do that tattoo. So we recommended him to a few other shops and then just had him leave. So yeah, there's definitely some tattoos that I will not take. When we first opened up the other queen, someone messaged the group chat or messaged our Instagram. It was some guy. He goes, hey ladies, looking to get my dick tattooed. I want a palm tree 4 inches. And we were like, whoa, don't flatter yourself here. Like, chill. And obviously none of us wanted to do it. So my fiance was like, I will. And he messages the guy on Instagram and he goes, hey man, none of the girls want to touch your dick, but I do, or I will. I have free time today. I'll tattoo it for you if you want. And he never responded, so homie never got that tattoo. But like, I know there's obviously people that are down to do that, but I think that we just knew that he was looking specifically for girls to do that for him, and we were just like I don't know you, so no, you know. So it does happen, and I personally do turn them down. I'm just not comfortable doing them, but I know a lot of other people are, so. So I ask that everyone emails me. Instagram messages, I don't always get them there. I woke up one day earlier this year or sometime last year to over 300 messages in my message requests that were never there before. So that's why I just don't trust Instagram. So please email me. And then when you do email me, I just ask that you don't hit me up going like, hey, I want a tattoo, and then leave it at that, because I'm not going to fight you to figure out what you want. I'm very, very specific in my booking highlights on my Instagram about what I want from you when you do book with me. I ask for reference photos of subject matter that you want and style, as well as sizing in inches. That's a hard one for people to know, but not everyone's like accessible to a ruler all the time, so I totally get it. If you can give it in inches, awesome. If you can't, we'll figure it out from there. Yeah, and then the type of detail that someone wants, like, do you want this in black and gray or color? Maybe if you have like a budget, that's always really good to know too, so that way we can design something for the placement and sizing that you want it to be in. But I think that's pretty much it. And then deposits are required because it pays for, like, so if you no call, no show, I at least get paid for my time spent designing and setting up my station. And then if I don't even get another tattoo that day, at least I had that $50. And deposits are non-refundable for that exact reason. You're paying for my time, my labor. It's required because this is not a hobby. This is how I pay my bills. I try and not book out more than 2 months in advance, just because if I need to go and do something later on, I can like kind of work around that. But sometimes 2 to 3 months in advance. It's about to get to be a lot slower of a season with the holidays coming up, so that kind of affects it too. But yeah, I know people like book out, they'll be like, books closed for 2 years, and I'm like, I don't even know how I don't know how people live their lives like that, because I'd like, I feel like I'll just be so overwhelmed. So I feel like trying to keep down the time out that I book kind of keeps me a little less frantic in my head, you know, but I'm sure for them it's stability, you know, for what's like stable for others is like unstable for myself, but that's for them too. That's like guaranteed money. They're like, I don't have to worry about anything for like the next year. You know what I mean? But I like to make sure that if shit hits the fan that I'm able to take time off and I don't have to try and push my client out way further out in advance than necessary to. My goals are to eventually, obviously one day, own a shop with my fiance. It'd be kind of cool to get to work with him again. But low-key, part of me is like, do I want to go back and work at a co-ed shop? You know what I mean? I just really like the all-female environment that I've been in for the last 2 years. It's been fucking awesome. But, sorry, babe. But that is definitely the end goal, is to want to open up, you know, a shop for us and just live out the rest of my life. I just want to be happy and make art and be around people that support me and that I can support too. I think it definitely gives more people the opportunity to feel, and it's not like every male-dominated shop is like that, where like you can't feel safe or comfortable in, but I have heard a lot of horror stories from a lot of my female clients about bad experiences where they were made to feel uncomfortable, not listened to. It was more painful of an experience as well. And then sometimes they get fucking creeped on, or like artist doesn't know boundaries. You know what I mean? Do you think that there should be more all-female shops? I think it definitely gives, like I said, more of an opportunity of people to be able to go to an all-female shop, maybe find more female artists. I feel like there are a lot more female artists now than obviously there used to be like just several decades ago. Which is fucking awesome. It should be that way. I'm kind of hoping it gets to a point where it just balances itself out, you know? Like, it's a very male-dominated industry, and unfortunately there's some people in this industry that have this attitude where they think that we don't belong here, or they don't think that, like, gay people belong here, or they don't believe that people of color belong here, and I know for a fact that being in this environment, that's not the case. And I feel like a lot more female shops open up that opportunity to more types of people for that exact reason. Yeah, like just like draw every day, focus on your art, listen to what everyone has to say, watch everyone. You know what I mean? Learn from everyone as much as you can, unless you're learning under someone specific. If you feel unsafe in the environment that you are learning in, leave. Do not stay somewhere just because you feel like you have to. If you feel like you have to leave because they're just making you clean a lot, that's part of an apprenticeship, you know what I mean? Like, being clean's really important. That's why you're doing it. But if they're harassing you, if they're hazing you, if they're making you do things like physically you don't feel comfortable with, do not stay. But yeah, just do your research on a shop that you want to apprentice at, an artist that you want to apprentice under, all that good stuff. Just work hard. Yeah, I just want to say thank you to literally everyone who's ever given me the opportunity to be where I'm at and to give me any bit of advice. I'm very incredibly thankful to my mentor, Topher, for even seeing anything in me and keeping me around as long as he did to teach me what he knows, you know. I'm just thankful for everyone who has given me a chance to tattoo at any shop I've ever been in, because no one ever had to give me a chance, but they did, so. Yeah. Bye.